Dwellings of Eldervale. This is a big box if ever there was one, recommended by one of my favorite viewers, Mark. Thank you so much. Got to play through. Today we are going to look at how it plays solo, what I like about it, what I maybe don't like about it, some nuances, and see is it a game that is good for you. So Dwellings of Eldervale is a 1 to 5 player game. It says 30 minutes per player, so what that means if you're playing solo, it's a 2-player game. Solo opponent, so it's about 1 hour. I found that to be true. I'm a slow player, so it's probably an hour and a half, but that's just because I take breaks and stop and I daydream and I forget where I am and what I'm doing all the time. So that's it. Ages 14 up. I believe this was between $70 and $90. I give that range because of my brain, right? So between 70 and 90. It was a little lower than I thought. So anyway, how does it play? This is a worker placement game where you are also doing area control and you're having battles. So I thought of games like Scythe and Lords of Ragnarok, which are way more complex versions. So the short upfront, title of this, I doubt I'll put it in the title, is basically this would be my go-to area control game because it's medium weight, it's a quicker setup than something like Scythe or certainly Lords of Ragnarok. A simplified rule set, but still extremely puzzly. It is different from those games, as every game is unique, but major advantage of it. So, what we're going to do now, I'm going to open this up and kind of walk you through some of the things you get to do as you play. Instruction booklets. I always appreciate the player reference. Thank you very much. It tells you your turn sequence and also the steps to battle, which I'll walk you through here. You've got your own solo book. You can see that right there. They've got their own player board and then your rules of play as well as your appendix, which helps you with individual cards and factions. So in this game, each player, get to pick a faction. And it's double-sided, so I'm thinking there's not 8 factions, something like that. More than 8. There's 16 maybe. So, for example, here's a faction you can play as. Well, each faction actually has 2 sides to it, each with their own ability. So it's not just different artwork, it's different abilities. And you can see everything that comes with it. You got your workers, your soldiers, your special ability workers, dice that you roll for battle, and of course it's called Dwellings of Eldervale. So you're making dwellings and then resources that you collect and spend, and then little trackers. So you've got, I don't know how many of these, 12, 15. You got a lot of different factions. The individual things is basically these final 2 abilities, your warrior meeples and your workers might have a special action, or it might be the wizard or the dragon. They will have their own strengths that kind of determine how you play, if you want to play that way. And then you got a quick setup guide somewhere here, but we're not too worried about that. So, mess over here. It is a game trays, I believe, which I appreciate because otherwise this would take a long time to set up. So what you have here is, these are called the dungeons, I believe. It's been a few weeks since I've played, so you're the experts. Please correct me in the comments. I'm not offended. I appreciate it. So read the comments for any clarifications. It's different than when I do a tutorial and I spend a lot of time on that. Can't do that for every game. So in our dungeon, we have elemental cards, and you're able to, this is basically a shop. When you go dungeon diving by placing a worker in a dungeon, then you're able to collect a card, usually of your choice or of a matching element, and it gives you special abilities. You get to add these to a tableau in your player area that allows you to then place a worker or something like that in this area and use that ability. Sometimes you have to meet certain conditions to be able to use the card even after you get it, like you have to have so much elemental power in water to use this water one, or you have to pay for it with a scroll, something like that. Anyway, and then these are little tokens with little resources to gain. These get spread around on the map, so you're able to collect these to collect the resource. I need to remember that it's overhead, so I'm talking with my hands. Stop looking at the camera, Mike. And another dungeon dive. We won't go too deep into that. We have our AI card board here. So the Ghosts of Eldervale. What is the story? I don't remember. battling factions trying to gain dominance in the dwellings of Eldervale. Why can't I just say it? It's such a nice name. It's so easy to do. In Eldervale, these warring factions are trying to gain control. There are monsters roaming around, getting in your way, gaining control, and there are elemental territories that you're all just trying to gain dominance. That's it. It's area control. So the ghosts of Eldervale are just trying to get in your way. But as the solo AI opponent, they do gain points. They do engage in battle. However, you do not have to make decisions for them, and you are, when you flip over the AI card, because it's a deck-driven AI, so you flip over a card, it tells you exactly what the AI is going to do, and it does have a priority system, so it lets you know if they're going to move here, they're going to, or if they have to move, they're going to move here first. If they can't, then they'll move there. No decision making. Cards are easy to read. This is just a mat that lets you collect resources to gain points. They don't have to spend resources. You don't track all that. They just gain points at the end of the game. Flip the card, do what it says, count their points at the end of the game. That's it. They do engage in battles with you. They engage in battles with the monsters as well. So you would play as the monster. They would play as themselves. Actually, technically, you play as both of them. You get the point. Oh my goodness. This is a bit large. It's a bit large. It doesn't need to be this large, but you know what? I would probably say it's too small, so ignore me if it was any smaller. This is your elemental tracker. So you've got like fire and then the opposite of water. You've got darkness and light. You've got order and chaos. Wind and what do you have? Storms and earth. Wind and earth. Anyway, you have a little tracker and you get to climb up in the elements. The higher you are in an element, the more powerful cards you're able to use in your tableau and other special abilities. So there's that benefit, but the real benefit is the goal of the game is to have the most points. These are multipliers. So if I'm up 1, 2, 3, if I'm up 3 levels in light here, then that means I have a multiplier of 4. So all of my 4 elemental, when you place dwellings, if I have a dwelling like in a light elemental area, then it's worth a multiple of 4, something like that. It's a multiplier. Deal with me. Oh my goodness. This is the underworld. When you lose a battle, little guys go here. You got your glory track. What fun. You can slowly go up your glory track, and each time you go up by winning a battle, that's why you have the battle sign. Each time you go up winning a battle, you get to gain that benefit if it's available. Some of these are one time only, so if one of them's taken, you have to take the remaining one. And your little score track. That's how you keep track. Oh my goodness. And then of course we have all our different factions. This is not an unboxing. This is just how my brain works. And I thought, you know what? We're going to chill out together and go through the whole thing. There we go. All right. But you can see there's not a ton. You got your resources tray. Different resources to collect to spend, scrolls and gems and potions and anvils and little swords to use in battle. You can gain dragon coins, which are worth a lot. They can be wild, I believe. You got your little monster cardboard tokens. So, you know, we'll get to that when I get into things I don't like. I actually like the standees. These don't bother me at all. These are your elemental and monster standees that you battle against as the monsters roam around the land. You got a second resource tray. It has little spell cards, or whatever you want to call them. You're able to gain these. These basically give you one-time abilities usually. So you can collect these by placing a worker in a certain spot. You collect these cards, and you get to discard them to use whatever special ability. Unlike the dungeon cards in the tableau that are more persistent, staying in the area. So you're probably like, where in the world is the board that you play on? Well, you build it out with these tiles. But here we go. Empty box. So in-app purchases. Basically, if you want to deluxify, you've got a box ready for you to deluxify. Same deal here. If you want to deluxify, you got a big box so you can deluxify. What's all this? That's all there. If you want to deluxify, you can get little sound effect stands for your things. You do come with a couple minis, really beautiful. An extra dragon, which is an optional additional monster that you can add, and an optional additional monster, like a mini expansion, the Frost Giant, right there, and then your little standee holders. Our AI deck is right here, So just to show you, if you flip one over, hey, it's already flipped over. Can you read that? Yes, you can read that. It tells you exactly what to do. So you read the instructions, you learn this means place a new realm tile. In other words, advance the map, make the board bigger next to wherever the AI opponent is. It's called the ghost dude. That's what I call him. So you add a new, that's it. That's the end of their turn. Okay, so you flip one over, do the thing, go back to your turn. I appreciate that. What are these? Oh, these are your monsters. So if the monster comes out, if the dread crocodile ends up spawning, then you have to fight the dread crocodile. And this card just tells you what he does in battle or how he affects the board. And you can see the, their pictures on the front. The Mother of Dragons. The Frost Giant. So cool artwork. And the rest of these are just your player cards, I think. Yeah, so like if I was going to play as the fire people, then this lets me know my unique abilities that I'm able to do. So if I want to summon or place a worker on the board, if I want to place a dragon on the board, then I need to place a worker here and then spend these resources to get the dragon, and then later I can place the dragon. Each of these workers has different special abilities. The dragon lets you do something I don't remember, flight, and then the wizard lets you teleport around. The soldier helps you in battle. So these help you with travel in different ways, helps you with battle, and workers help you collect things. You're able to gather as well. So this is sort of you really want to place your workers on the tiles on the board, but you have this as an option. Sometimes this is a good idea to use. Or you can place a dwelling. You only get, I'm going to make this up, 8 dwellings. No, let's not make it up. This is supposed to be a review. I'll try to be halfway decent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You only get 6 dwellings. You want to place as many dwellings as possible on territories to gain the most points, but you only get 6 of them, so place them carefully. Because, remember, the elemental track that I showed you earlier, if you are going up the light elemental track, you probably want dwellings in light. You don't want to be up in the light elemental track, nothing in the fire elemental, but all your dwellings are fire. Why would you do that? It makes no sense. I'm not going to show you all this. You've got your ghost guy, your Eldervale opponent right there, Mr. Wispy. That's what we're going to call him. I call him Mr. Wispy. Different tokens, little tray to hold your stuff. But let's build out the map, because this isn't an unboxing. This is how your map looks. You've got different, oh my goodness, elemental tiles. It's too dark. Why are you so dark? Ah! Okay, here we go. I hope you like the sound effects. So you've got layers, right? I think that's what they're called. Things like the dragon's den and the dungeon. Let's make them all face up. Oh my goodness. Can I do this? Yeah. No, you're upside down. Behave. So these are darkness elementals. I just randomly pulled these out. So here's the map. If I place a worker here, then I get to gain one of these resources. Or if I want to place a dwelling here, I have to pay these 3 resources, 3 potions. So I need to place workers to collect potions so that I can place a dwelling with those potions. All right, that's how you do it. Also, whenever you do your dungeon exploring thing, so I place a worker here, what do I get to do? I get to place a new tile and collect 2 dungeon cards. So I place a new tile, that wasn't there, bam, bam, boom. Love it. I get to collect 2 elemental cards, which means I get to look at 2, keep 1 kind of thing. And I believe it was linked to whatever you flipped over. It had to be that element, but I could be wrong on that. I'd have to check the cards for that. But you can see there are different tiles for different player counts. This would be for 4-player and 5-player only. I'll show you some of the others. So you start out with a board set up something like this. There are a determined number of layers that are always going to be there. I'm not going to go through all that. And then a random number of elements. So this isn't exactly how it looks when you start, but let's pretend it's pretty darn close, right? Pretty darn close. You'd have fire elements and all that. And then as the game continues, you flip these over to flip over more. And you can see that you have more worker options. If I choose to place a worker right here, Then on my next turn, in the beginning you can place them anywhere. I would have to place it somewhere adjacent. Well, how does battle work? Well, let's say you've got two different opponents that want to fight. What are we going to do? We're going to place a worker here. Let's say that they want to fight. They're going to go, boom, and a battle is now engaged. What you can do when a battle is engaged is you can each pull any neighboring people over. So come in and join the fight. Help me, buddy. Oh my goodness, excuse me, I need help. Then you look at your tableau. Are there any special abilities that let you place extra workers? I've got an ability that lets me place getting over a cold. I'm going to be okay. Don't call the hospital. I placed my little soldier dude. Everybody's happy. Okay, now we're going to roll dice based on our workers. These are each worth 1 dice. Let's say that these are worth 3 dice. I'm just kind of making it up, but you get the idea. Each of you rolls your dice. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Then, oh, they only got 2. Then you get to use any special abilities on your tableau, spell cards, whatever, to adjust die results. When it's all said and done, whoever has the single highest die wins. So in this case, even though they had less workers, they would actually win. If you had a tie, there's a 6 and a 6, then you go to the next highest dice and compare them. In this case, yellow still wins. When you win that, then the losers send their little dudes to the underworld on that victory, elemental board that I showed you. They go into the underworld, but you get to collect a resource for each one sent. So you collect a sword and a sword. So you want to win, but you still there's like a balancing so that you still gain resources so that you're able with those swords to do better in battle the next time, as you can always use those swords to, I believe, add a dice, if I got it right. That's basically how you play the game. Let's go to what I like and what I don't. I thought about cleaning up the chaos, but I kind of like this. I'm going to try this raw and chaotic thing. What I like about the game. I think I already mentioned it. I like that actually once you learn it, the graphic design is wonderful. I can just read the board. I've got my little cheat card that tells me how to play. I can set this up in, say, 10 minutes. Maybe you could do 5 if you're a crazy person. I'm slow. So set it up in 10 minutes. Break it down in the same amount of time. I can remember how to play within 3 to 5 minutes. And I can, in 1 hour, have a solid strategic battle against the AI opponent. If you're doing multiplayer, then, it's the same thing, just with real people. This is a solo channel, so we're talking about solo. Anyway, it's a smart AI. It's got a priority system, so it is actually always battling against me. I like how monsters appear and how they change the effects on the board. They change your abilities to battle. You are actually able to control a monster. I forgot about that, which was similar to Lords of Ragnarok, which was out later, but, it's a mechanic used in a lot of games. I like that. I like that you're able to do that and defeat the monsters, go up to glory. There's many paths to victory. So, for an area control game, it would be my go-to just for that reason. What I don't, and it's nice and colorful, I don't love the art. I do love the color. I love the color. I love the graphic design. That's what's most important. But, so this is like Green Elemental. Since it is Dwellings of Eldervale, I kind of wanted to see like landscape and things like that, so it looked like a world as opposed to like abstract elemental things. But that's kind of nitpicky. Good. I'm not so into high fantasy. I'm more like soft fantasy. So when you get into this level with the dungeons and the dragons flying around and all that, wonderful. It's not so much my kind of thing, so I don't gravitate toward the theme. That's completely subjective, though. For high fantasy, I think they nailed it. If you like that, you're very good. I don't like the in-app inbox purchase thing, where you get this big box, and it is mostly filled, but, a good chunk of it is not, and it makes you feel like you got an incomplete game when you weren't aware of that when you bought the box. However, if you do deluxify it, it's wonderful that they made the space ahead of time, and I understand from a marketing standpoint that's good for sales. Personally, I don't really love that, but as long as you know it ahead of time, you're totally good. Those are the only critiques I have. What do you think? Have you played it? Do you recommend this? Do you enjoy it? Any other area control worker placement games? let me know. What's coming next? What's coming next? I've got a review of Sleeping Gods, Primeval Peril, and an autopsy. That's right, we're cutting a body apart to solve a mystery with Best Served Cold from Mysterious Package Company. Fun little game. We've got a review of new solo games coming out by going to the game store. We've got the new solo board game of the month coming. There's a lot. I love you all. I'll see you next time.
Storms are brewing, I can see the green sky. I'm shuttering up this place too.